All right, guys, what is up? Welcome back to our daily live feed. As you are logging on, if you would like to come work with me, suitsandposing.com is where you have to go. We do hair, makeup, suits and posing, all the fun stuff when it comes to competing. As you are logging on here, if you are on Instagram, I will be screen sharing over on YouTube and Facebook. So go to our channel, Show Off the True Cuties on YouTube, and check it out there. You'll see all the pictures and videos and all that. Happy Tuesday, yes. So I'm on my laptop because I am at my parents' house. So it's a little bit of a different view for me. So it's a little interesting. Like I gotta lean in and everything. What's up, Jasmine? Welcome. Been a while. How are you doing? So yeah, I'm kind of like leaning in so I can see what's going on because it's like much smaller than my big ass screen at home. So it is what it is. Hopefully this will all work out well here. We do have the Pittsburgh Pro to go through tonight. I was there in person, and if you did not hear my commentary, if you look on the screen here on YouTube and Facebook, you see that QR code up in the top there, right there. That QR code will take you to my Spotify channel, and you can listen to my commentary for both wellness and bikini. So we're going to talk about both those divisions tonight. And as always, I would just wait a couple minutes for everybody to get logged on here and everything as well. Yes, I'm going to give you my honest opinion on all this stuff because I had a lot of people message me after the show, specifically after wellness. So we're going to talk about that. Yeah. So what else? If you need a new suit, I do free webinars on Thursday evenings at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You just have to go to suitsandposing.com in order to sign up for it. It is free, so just go into that, and I go through an actual suit consultation makeover and go into all the things you need to know to have a great suit. So, yes, I only do commentary at prejudging in general. I did it at finals for the Arnold. Not a whole lot changes at finals. They don't really rejudge a lot, that kind of thing. So I won't say that I won't do it at finals, but there was no real point to it at finals at Pittsburgh. I was there. I was watching. And all they really did was they did the routines. They ran through comparisons one more time and went off. There was no rejudging or anything like that. So if I think it's tight between the top couple of competitors, then I might go live for it, but I just didn't think that was going to be the scenario here. It was pretty clear cut in my opinion. So, yeah. And you're right. I do my wrap ups on here so I can kind of go through everything and how it went down and what I saw versus what was rewarded and things like that. So, yeah, like I said, I did do it at the Arnold, but I just felt like I was sitting there kind of not saying much the whole time. So I was like, this is kind of pointless as far as like doing commentary at the Arnold for finals, because we've already seen everybody already. We've already seen their individual routines, and like, for example, for Pittsburgh, they only came out with a top 10 for routines. So you didn't even see everybody, that kind of thing. So the good thing about doing it for prejudging is that, I can comment on everyone when I'm there. So I was able to comment on everyone as they came out. And I will say that this was the most competitive show that I've seen all year, by far, most competitive. So the girls brought it both in wellness and in bikini too. We're going to talk about wellness a little bit. And then we'll go into bikini. What's up, guys? What's up? Welcome. So let's go ahead and get started. My dad just said hi. He's upstairs watching me. So they're upstairs. They're right there. I'm down here. So that said, let's talk about wellness. Now let's see here. My screen is much smaller and I have to do a touch screen here. So give me a second. I think that's what I want to share before I make sure I got this. This is so weird being on a different platform than what I normally am, you guys. So I think this is what I want to share. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So starting out with fifth place here, this is Jennifer Scarborough. She took fifth. I actually thought this was an improved look for her. I like that you captured the routines to post at finals versus doing commentary, then good system. Right. Yeah. And for those of you that didn't watch my stories, I posted the finals routines for the top 6 at finals for Bikini, because I knew they had a top 6 call out. So I will be showing those routines here on screen too. So you'll get to see those once we get to Bikini. So so 6th place was Jennifer Scarborough, and we've seen her quite a bit this year. She tends to be taking like 2nd places and things like that. She has not qualified for the Olympia yet. And here she was 5th, which, makes sense based on the level of talent and everything that was here. One thing I will say about her package, and I said this on the commentary too, is that she was a little bit fuller here. She wasn't quite as conditioned as what we've seen in the past, which is good. She's always been over the line conditioned as far as what I've seen from her. So I felt like this was a better look for her. But my critique for her is still the same, that she still looks like her body is more figure than she is wellness. So she's really got to work on bringing down her upper body and playing up that lower body. Did I say that right? Bringing down her upper body and bringing up her lower body. Again, I feel like the fuller look on her was better. I feel like this was a better look for her frame overall. But when it comes to getting up and beating those top 4 girls, she's got to reshape her frame a little bit. Let's take a look at a back shot. Let me pull up. Find a back shot. Sorry, my screen is really small, like I said, so I'm not able to look at these how I normally do. So it takes me a little bit longer here. I'm going to get to a back shot for you guys so you can see it. Everybody's talking to my dad in the comments. All right, so I think this is a full back shot right here. Yep, okay. Let me share this one. All right, so, when you look at it from the back, this is a pretty good back shot. You know what I mean? It's not all like she's doing better. She's getting fuller. She's getting rounder, all of that, but she still just needs more size in her quads from the back, that quad sweep from the back. She's longer in the lower body than she is in the upper body. So she's got to just get that size packed on there. She still needs size in the glutes. She just overall needs size in the lower half, and she needs to pull the size down on the upper half. That's what will get her up into those top positions when she's up against this tougher competition. Again, I think this was a better look. Her conditioning was a lot better here, in my opinion. I felt like in the past she's been too conditioned. This was a lot better. But she's just got to work on that shape. She's just got to work on that overall shape. But like I said, much better than what I've seen. Let's go to, she opens up her upper body a lot when posing. She could definitely help herself. Yeah, I agree with that. I think she probably does that to try to make her waistline look smaller. That's what I'm guessing. But yeah, it's just overall, the first thing I look at when I see her is I see her biceps and I see her shoulder caps. That's the first thing that I see. And that's not what you want to see when you're looking at a wellness competitor, Okay. So 4th place was Tiffany. I think that's how you pronounce it. Let me find a good front shot to show. And I actually thought she looked really good. I know she was one of the ones that people were looking forward to seeing. Shape was really good. Presentation was really good. But you can see here, just by looking at this one shot, her conditioning needs to be better. So her waistline just looks like it's a little blown out. She looks real thick through that midsection there. Her waistline is not very, it's kind of short. Her waistline's a little bit short. So because of that, she needs to be really, really tight in order to bring that in. And you really see it when she turns around to the back too, So that's really what kind of held her back from going up a little higher. It was the conditioning aspect. Overall, I felt like her shape was really good though. I think I see the potential there for a win if she gets this conditioning aspect right. Let's see a back shot. Tiny screen. Sorry, guys. I'm usually a little bit faster with this, but I have to, it's a touch screen too, which is part of it. Let's see. I think this is a full on back shot right here. Yeah, it looks good. So you can see from the back, she's got really great wellness shape right here. But again, she's just not conditioned enough. In the photo, she looks fine, but it's like when you sit her next to the other girls who are in that top 4, you can really see the difference in her conditioning versus theirs. She's just not tight enough. But when you look at the fullness and the roundness in her glutes and the fullness and the roundness in her quads, it's quite a bit different than what we just saw from Jenny Scarborough, right? This is a much more wellness kind of frame to me, right? So what she needs to do is she needs to go to Jenny and get some tips on conditioning. So if she can get her conditioning in check, yeah, this is a really, really good shape. And I would actually like to see her move up pretty quickly if she can get that going for her. So yeah, that's her thing, is conditioning right there. And then let's go back to Lily Dong. So this is the one that was, we all kind of assumed that she was probably going to be up towards the top. I really liked her package. She's small. She's on the small side. And that's really what's kind of holding her back at this point when it comes to standing up again next to these top competitors, is she's just a little bit tiny. But I prefer that. I felt like her package was well put together. Here we go. So here she is right here. And again, sorry, I didn't mean to hit that comment. My screen's small again. So again, she's just on the small side, and she's got a little bit of a longer torso as well. So because of that, that's the reason why she placed where she placed. But overall, I think that her shape looks really, really good. If she can continue to grow her lower half and keep her upper half where it is, I can see her moving up. I honestly would like to see this kind of physique rewarded more. I'd like to see her rewarded more because I like that direction, particularly for wellness myself personally. Now I understand why they're rewarding what they are. I'm just saying me personally, that's what I like. I like this. Let's get a back shot up so you can see the back shot. So you can see here, again, really good proportion in the back. She just needs to be bigger. Conditioning on, that's right where she needs to be for conditioning. Nice roundness, nice fullness, all of the things that she needed, except for size, right? And going back to, I like this. I think this is a good size. I would like to see this size rewarded more. But currently, she would need to be bigger in order to get rewarded more, right? So overall, really good package, though. Let's go to the one that we weren't sure about, but assumed this would be our top 2. And that is Cassandra in second. So as I'm pulling up her photos, if you guys listen to my commentary, I had her winning. Now, I want to mention, I understand this is not Cassandra's best look. I get that. I understand what everybody's saying. But I still had her in my first place position, regardless of the fact this was probably not her best look. She was a little flat. You could see when she turned to the back, she was a little flat in comparison to everybody else. She didn't have any sheen back there either. Lost some pop in the glutes. This kind of thing happens when you compete over and over again. And she's competed twice, the Arnold and the Vancouver. And that was, obviously the Olympia was in December. So she's been competing a lot. So, you tend to lose a little of that pop and that fullness and that round as you compete more and more and more. So I get that. I understand all of that. But I still would have given her the win because of the size factor, and not that that she was small. How am I trying to word this? Giselle was too big. Basically, that's my concern. And I'll get into that when we get into Giselle. I liked Cassandra's size better. Again, just like I said with Lily, I like Lily Dong's size better. Even though this was not Cassandra's best look, I still like it better, right? And it's mainly just because I want to see the criteria stay in check. So let's get to a back shot of Cassandra before we move to Giselle. So if you look at her back shot here, I mean, you can pretty clearly see that she doesn't have the same kind of pop that like we just talked about with Lily, right? She just doesn't have, there's just, it's a little washed out through the hamstrings. She doesn't have the fullness. She doesn't have the roundness. She doesn't have the pop. That's just, I think that's her body saying it's tired and she needs to take a break. That kind of thing. You know, that's what happens when you do multiple shows in a row. So I get it. I understand, right? She probably could have been a little bit darker on her tan too. You can't really tell that from this photo, but I could tell it in person. She was, tan was okay. She probably just could have been like another shade darker and that would have helped. That might have helped her pop a little bit more. We might have seen a little bit more detail in here, that kind of thing. But overall, again, I'm looking at size factor, right? I'm looking at size factor for her versus Giselle. And let's pull Giselle up so that we can talk about that. Okay, so Giselle won. Now, and I want to say too that she has a phenomenal wellness frame. Okay, that is the first and foremost thing. I totally get it. That is a phenomenal wellness frame. She has a phenomenal wellness look. Overall, she's incredibly polished. Her presentation was pretty much perfect. You know, all of the things that you want to see from a top competitor, she has them, right? It's there. I get that. But this is a lot of size. This is a lot of muscle and this is a lot of conditioning. Okay. Now, not that she doesn't look great, right? I don't want to say that she doesn't look great because she does. She looks phenomenal. Okay. So I really want you guys to hear that part of it. But the reason why I'm saying this is because when you reward somebody that's this muscular and this conditioned, it makes it feel like it's impossible to get to that point for anybody else, right? Whenever she stands up on stage, she's going to be very dominant, but that's because she is so big and conditioned, right? She's very big and she's very conditioned. And again, this is a phenomenal wellness frame. She's got a great look. I would just like to see the whole thing downsized, right? I just like to see the whole thing a bit smaller. Just going to be honest, that's what I want to see. Because if you start rewarding these bigger physiques like this, it becomes unattainable for other competitors. And then we see what's happening now where we've got 8 girls in a show, 6 girls in a show, you know, that kind of thing. Because this physique right here could fit into women's physique or figure if she brought her glutes down a little bit. You know what I mean? So there needs to be a delineation in that size and conditioning, right? So I just want to see that. I want to see that happen. I want to see the size being brought down in this division. Again, not to take away from Giselle because I think she looks phenomenal. And I really want to stress that. I'm not trying to bring her down. This is her look and it looks great. And this is actually an improved look for her over what she did at the Olympia. So I get that. I'm talking about the actual criteria for the division. And I'm talking about making it something that other women in wellness feel like they can do, right? So when you turn her to the back, let's find a back shot. I mean, again, this is a lot of size. This is just a lot of size, right? It's a pretty significant difference between her and what we just looked at with Cassandra. I mean, they look like they're in different leagues. You know, when we saw the photos popping up on Instagram with the two of them next to each other, they did not look like they were even in the same division. And that's an issue because Cassandra did just win the Arnold. She's not that far off from what she did at the Arnold, right? She's not that far off. So, you know, and the other part of this too, going back to the Arnolds, I feel like they punished Rayanne because Rayanne was big. So I'm not sure why they didn't stick to the same thing here, right? So I had a lot of people message me about this. So I'm just telling you my honest thoughts. And my honest thoughts were, I think Giselle looks great, but I would have given it to Cassandra because of the criteria and expectations for the actual division itself. So Even though Cassandra was not at her best, I get that. I understand that. She still is more on the attainable for wellness kind of look. Now, don't get me wrong. All of these physiques are incredibly like freakish and everything like that in a good way. I get it. This is bodybuilding. That's what this is. I understand, right? But we need to keep the criteria in line, and that includes the size. Okay. So I can't say it any more clearly than that, I don't think, but tell me what you guys think in the comments. Tell me you think if I'm just completely crazy what I'm saying, that Giselle looks phenomenal and she deserved to win and all this kind of stuff, or if you understand where I'm coming from when I'm saying keeping the criteria and the size and the conditioning in check. Tell me what you think in the comments here. Comment, because people do pay attention to these live feeds. I know because they come tell me. So, the only way we're going to keep things or see changes or want to have things happen in this sport is by speaking up, right? That's the only way that happens. If nobody says anything, then things just keep going. So again, I really want to stress that Giselle looks phenomenal, and I don't want to take this away from her. And she's actually doing, probably what her critiques told her to do. She rounded out her glutes, which is what I felt like she needed to do from the Olympia. It is a more round look, all of those kinds of things, but I think it's past the criteria. I think it's too much. I think it's too big, right? So yeah, the observation versus Rianne. Yeah, I 100% agree. I mean, I think she got, and I don't know this for sure, but I think she got penalized at the Arnold for her size. So if she got penalized at the Arnold for her size, then we should have seen that happen here with Giselle as well. That's my 2 cents. So you're right about how they marked Rianne down at the Arnold, and now they're rewarding it. And personally, I loved Rianne then. Inconsistent. Yeah. Nope, you're spot on. More small girls need to compete if we're going to change the trajectory. Can only judge what shows up and whoever comes in on point. Yep. So, and that's the problem. It's like a catch-22, because when the big girls get rewarded, the small girls don't want to get on stage, right? So it's a catch-22. So we start shooting ourselves in the foot, basically, is what we start doing, right? So again, this is why I speak up. This is why I say something, because the only way that things change is if we affect change, if we make it happen ourselves, right? So glad to hear you guys understand and agree with me. And again, I just really want to stress, I'm not trying to take the win away from Giselle by any stretch of the imagination. Again, she's doing probably what her critiques were from the judges, that kind of thing. But it's a big size discrepancy. Definitely is. So no, not the same judges. Some of them were. Some of the judges were the same, but not all of them. So is what it is. Beat a dead horse. It is what it is. But like I said, we've got to speak up. Got to say something. Okay. So Giselle is competing in New York too. So is Lily. So we'll see what happens when we get to New York. We'll talk about that in a minute. We're not going to go into that yet. Let's go into Bikini. Okay. So let's see. What I'm going to share for Bikini is the top 6 routines. Give me a second. Hopefully it'll load. They were a second ago. Just taking a minute. Okay. So I don't know if you are going to be able to hear. I don't know if you can hear the music or not. I'm gonna mute it just in case, because I don't want my live to get shut down. So I'm muting. There we go. Okay. So in 6th place we had Jessica. Jessica always brings a really consistent package, and she's getting better as far as building up her glutes, right? So her strengths are her front pose and her overall stage presence in posing. Her stage presence is one of the best in the league. It really is. And I still stand by, I think she has one of the best front poses in the league as well. Just hands down has one of the best front poses. Now, where she falls off and where she has an issue standing up to some of these tougher competitors is in her back pose, because her glutes kind of slope down on the outside versus popping up and on the upper outer glute. She's gotten a lot better, a lot better. She's got a lot more fullness in the back, all of that. But with the fullness, what happens then is she loses a little bit of that conditioning in the back, right? She loses a little bit of that hamstring tying in the back. So she's like, again, one of these catch-22s where it's like, okay, well, she's got to come in a little fuller. She has to. But then she loses a little bit of that tightness from the back. So, I think that her placing at 6th was appropriate. I could have seen her and Lexus switching places, which was our 5th place. But really, I see the two of them pretty close as far as placings were concerned. Made sense why they were where they were. I really didn't have a problem with any of the placings here in Bikini, first of all. And second of all, this lineup was so deep. It was ridiculous. So like when the girls were coming out and I was doing my commentary as they were walking on stage, I was picking them apart little by little by little because every one of them looked so good. So I just said things that first came to my mind when I first saw them walk on stage. And then that's where I kept going with everything, right? So the only thing that Jessica can do is continue to try to fill those glutes out, the upper and outer glute, and continue to try to get them a little bit tighter. So she is competing in New York too. So we'll see if she comes in a little bit tighter and if that helps her here in New York. But I thought it was a beautiful package. I love the pink. And again, I love overall her look. Her look is just beautiful. So, her presence, everything is just really spot on. The one that we talked about in one of our previews, oh, that came right up. Okay, cool. Is Lexus. So Lexus came onto the bikini scene with like a huge bang, right? She won her first pro show ever, right? And then she was never really able to get back to that. She was never really able to get back to that spot where she was just from top to bottom, had that really good, V-taper. One of the things that helped her was the Bikini days where we saw the big lat spreads, things like that. So that helped her with her frame because she has quite a large lat spread in the back. But she was never really able to get her lower half into condition. So when she walked on stage here, I immediately saw that she was in much better condition from front to back on her lower half, which is what she needed for sure. My concern was that she might still be a little bit too big on her lower body, meaning her legs, in order to kind of compare and balance well with her upper body. I do think that's still the case. I think that this is a good enough package to win a smaller pro show. But I think when she stands up next to these tough people, like in Pittsburgh and New York and the Olympia and things like that, she's going to have to still work on kind of streamlining those legs a little bit because it's still just a little bit too much from the front to compare with her upper body. So with that, this is the best look she's put on stage, I think, just ever. Like really since her pro debut. I think this is better than her pro debut. So kudos to her. I do think this is a much better package. I do think that this was a very well-deserved 5th place. And her proportions came in great, all of that. Her conditioning came in great, all of that. So again, I would probably just say to work on the balance with her legs, with her upper body. Maybe a little bit more upper outer glute. I think that could be helpful, a little bit more upper outer glute from the back. But that would just be to kind of, again, to balance her lower body with her upper. But yeah, I mean, phenomenal look, teeny tiny little waistline, presence was on point, posing was on point. I really liked the suit color and everything on her as well. So you can see her from the back. We could stand to have a little bit more pop in that upper outer glute when she gets in that back pose right there. And with that, she kind of slopes off a little bit. Same thing we talked about with Jessica. She slopes off a little bit on the upper outer glute. So I think that would help her to balance a little bit better. But yeah, like I said, overall, much, much better look. Probably her best look that she's put on the pro stage since she started. So really, really good job there and a well-deserved 5th place. Let's go with 4th next, which was Vanya. And I had somebody walk right in front of me when I was trying to videotape her. So I was a little annoyed because it threw off oh shoot, what did I do? It threw off the look. Hold on a second. I hit something. There we go. Okay. It threw off the video itself when somebody walked in front of me. But anyway, this is a great look for Vanya. Again, I think she's finally nailed streamlining her lower half and getting that conditioning in with her lower half. That has always been the issue with her the last couple of years. And now that she's finally got that, I think she's really starting to excel. Again, she's another one where her posing and presence is on point. phenomenal. And you can see here, like her balance is really, really well from top to bottom. Liked the suit color, liked the suit cut. You know, I'm always a little bit critical of her on her suits. This one was much better. I don't know if it's the same one as the one where she won her last pro show in or not. I don't know if it's the same one or not because I don't remember. But I do like this on her. And again, posing is on point. There we go. We got the video to zoom back in. And then when she gets into the back pose, she's in her back pose here, where she could get a little bit more density through that glute hamstring tie-in, so it pops a little bit, because I think that's where Romina beat her out, which Romina is in third place. So I think she could stand to pop a little bit more of that glute hammy tie-in there, and that would help to get her to bump up a little higher. But overall, that's, I mean, again, splitting hairs here. This is pretty phenomenal. I wouldn't change a whole lot. And I'm sure she's doing this kind of show here to see how she stacks up against the higher competition, because she is Olympia qualified. So really good package for Vanya. I'm very impressed with that. I think she's finally hit her stride there. Then we have Romina. So Romina was in third. This is kind of what we assumed was going to happen. We kind of assumed she was going to be in this third place position. So with Romina, I actually thought she might be a little tight from the back. She's got phenomenal glutes, like we talked about before. To answer the question, no, Vanya was not too bouncy, definitely not. So you can see Romina's got really sharp tie-ins from the back. I don't know if I've seen them that sharp before. That could have been something that hurt her a little. But I think where Romina is always going to have an issue is in her midsection. Her midsection's always looked a little bit watery, and it does here. You know, we talked about this at the last show too. She's always just looks like she has a little bit of a film of water over her abs, just a little, right? And the rest of her body doesn't look like that. So I'm wondering why. I mean, maybe it's one of those things like that's what happens when she's trying to carb up. In order for her to get the fullness in the glutes, maybe she needs to eat a lot, and that's what makes her waistline get a little bit watery there. I don't know. Maybe she just wears a waist trainer too much. Maybe she needs to stop wearing a waist trainer. I don't know. I don't know what it is. But that's the one thing that I always look at with her that I think is keeping her out of those top spots, because her glutes are phenomenal. And honestly, again, I think that her glutes might have been a little bit too etched in this show. Her hamstrings might have been a little bit too etched in. But if they weren't like that, I would have maybe even put her up in a second place. So, but it's the waistline. So, I'm sure Romina wants to move up at the Olympia. I'm sure that she does. So I would say try to figure out what the issue is with the waistline. And again, I think this particular show, she was a little bit too diced, through the hamstring tie-ins. So that's Romina, waist trainer, like a waist trainer corset. So next we're going to pull up Ashley. So the showdown really came between Ashley and Amy, and we figured that was probably going to be the case. This was not Ashley's best look. She was a little shaky on stage. So she just didn't look very confident. That was a big thing. She didn't look confident at all when she was going through her routine. I don't know if it was nerves or what. I'm not really sure. But that's Ashley. Sometimes her posing's a little bit off. You know, it is what it is, but her physique can kind of carry it. This physique lacked a wow factor. It lacked a pop. It just lacked a wow factor. She does that little bit of a vacuum in her rib cage. Her rib cage pulls in. I'm assuming she does that because sometimes she does have an issue with distension in the lower abs. So I'm guessing where that rib cage comes into play is because she's trying to keep her lower abs in. So it's a catch-22. Do you let the lower abs come out, or do you suck in and do the vacuum, right? But really, and her shoulders didn't really pop to me either. I felt like they lacked a little bit of oomph in her shoulders, which is something that she always deals with. But where the surprise was in her glutes. Her glutes were flat to me. They just didn't pop like Ashley's glutes normally pop. And this is coming from me saying like she normally has a lot more oomph to her glutes, and the glutes can carry the day for her, right? That didn't happen here. And I'm not the only one that said this, right? I talked to judges and they said it too. Okay. So this is not just coming from me. This came from judges' mouths as well. So I don't know if it's just a lack of muscle density or if it's just that her body is just needs some time to just be off stage for a little while and grow a little bit. I think that's what it is. I think she's just done too many shows and her she's losing some of that pop and that oomph to her muscle, and she just needs to take some time to grow it back, right? It was pretty significant when you saw her next to Amy. It was pretty significant. Like when she's by herself, maybe you can still get away with it, that kind of thing. But when she stood next to Amy, who is round as round can be, it was really, really obvious. It was really obvious. So if I was advising Ashley, I would say get off stage for a while. And I know that she prides herself in being able to go show to show and all that. I get that. I understand that's her thing. I do. But if she wants to win the Olympia back, there's some things that got to happen here, because she just got beat by the girl that took 6th at the Olympia, right? She just got beat by her. So I'll just leave it at that, and we'll see what she ends up doing. It'd be nice to see her come back with an improved physique, right? I know all the Ashley fans out there would like to see her come back and potentially have a shot at winning the Olympia, right? So, okay, let's do Amy. Okay. And here we have your winner, Amy. So, it was kind of one of those things, like as soon as Amy walked on stage, everybody kind of knew she was going to win it. In my mind, there was just no comparison. She's just so round and full everywhere. I know I've heard the critiques that people think she has too much muscle. She absolutely doesn't. When you see her in person, a lot of times stage photos are deceiving. She's not that big in person. She's really not. She's just got a lot of roundness. She's got a lot of fullness. And she's really balanced from top to bottom. And again, when you put somebody who is that round and full next to somebody who's a little bit flat, it really shows up. It really shows up. And that's what we saw here, especially in person. When you were there in person, it's completely different. I know that sounds cliche and all this kind of stuff, but for those of you that actually gone to a pro show and seen it live versus watched it on a video or watched it on a live stream or looked at the photos, it is 100% different when you see it live versus when you see it in recordings. Okay. It just is. It just is. So, Amy she's just very well balanced top to bottom. Now, where she can improve, she can bring her waistline in a little bit. Maybe continue to bring the legs down a little bit. I think her quads are okay. I don't have a problem with them, but I don't want to see them get any bigger. So maybe just continue to work on kind of reshaping and continue to keep them nice and full, but don't allow them to get any bigger, that kind of thing. But I would just like to see her waistline a little tighter. But I think she's really close. She's really close. And I think she's gunning for not only top 5 at the Olympia, maybe even top 3. And I think she's got the potential to do it, right? I think she's got the potential to do it. So I run around to she's a break from it. I know her and her coach said they were looking for different methods of sharing. You can send maybe some shows a little wonky. I mean, maybe that's the case with, if you're talking about Ashley, I mean, maybe that's the case. But to be honest with you, I wouldn't try to do anything crazy at a big show like Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh is one of these marquee shows that you want to come out of it with a win. So why try to do something crazy when you want to get a marquee win under your belt? And I think personally, and again, this is me looking from the outside in. So, you can do what you'd like as a competitor, but Ashley's been on the outside looking in at the Olympia and the Arnold for the last however many years. Get her some marquee wins, bring her in at her best for Pittsburgh, for New York, for Tampa, for Toronto, for these big, marquee shows. Get her some good, top wins, because now, again, you just got beat by the girl that took 6th at the Olympia. So that's not a good thing. You want to make sure that when you're going up against these competitors, that you are bringing in your best possible look every time. right? Like I've said before, this is not just Ashley. This is every girl across the board. Every girl across the board that is competing this year is coming in, bringing in their absolute best. They are bringing in their absolute best every single show, because you have to win a show to go to the Olympia this year. You cannot qualify on points, so you have to bring a win. You got to bring a winning look. So that translates to when you're talking about these top girls at the Olympia too. You know, if you place top 10 at the Olympia, you want to stay up in that zone for this year's Olympia. You don't want to drop out. So you got to bring in the best. Got to bring in your best look, right? Just told somebody else she's going for top 3. Yeah, I really think, and I you know, I think that Amy has the potential to get top 3 at the Olympia. I do. You know, she's coming in better every show. And again, that's what you want to do if you want to be in that top 5 or that top 3 at the biggest show in the world. Right? So, I mean, again, this is just me from the outside looking in based on what I'm seeing. That's what I would do. That's my 2 cents, you know? And it looks like to me that Amy's strategy is to come in and win all these marquee shows. Again, she's going to be doing New York. So if she wins New York too, that's giving her huge momentum, right? If she wins New York, now she's got 4 wins back to back, big wins. You know the last person to do that? Laura Lee. Laura Lee's the last person to do that. Laura Lee came in her rookie year and took all these big pro wins. And I had her predicted to come in and get into the top 5 at the Olympia as a rookie at the Olympia. And nobody believes me. She made it. I think she ended up second or something. I think she ended up second at the Olympia that year. I think that was her first Olympia. So, you know, this is possible. This is possible, right? So what do you guys think? What do you guys think of the whole show? I think that, again, like I said, I still would have, for wellness, I still would have liked to see the criteria be brought down a little bit as far as size. For bikini, I think it was spot on with the placements. I think across the board, even going down into second and third call out, I think it was spot on. I want Amy to win the Olympia, you know, and that's not out of the realm of possibility. It's not, you know, again, you look at this year and you look at Maureen and how she won it. You know, Maureen didn't come out of nowhere, but she rose up in the ranks very fast. She went from top 10 to top 5 to top 3 to winning it. You know what I mean? Amy went from 6th in her first Olympia, you know, that's pretty significant. She could absolutely be in the top 3, comes in at her best. She could win it. We don't have anyone that is super dominant in bikini right now. No one is super dominant in bikini right now. It is a wide open zone. Wide open, right? Better lay, yeah. We're wrapping up here, Christina. So, you know, type into the comments, tell me what you think. Give me your 2 cents. Am I crazy? Do you agree with me on all these things? Is there anything else that you wanted to add into this that I missed? Type in the comments. Let me know. How many of you guys actually watched my Spotify or watched it, listened to it? I'll be doing the same thing in New York. Okay. We had quite a few listeners, so that was pretty cool. I'll leave it open for comments for just a couple minutes here. I don't think I'm hard on Ashley. You know. I listen. The rest of the year is going to be crazy. Yes. You know, you got to remember when you're the top and you've been at the top for so long, you got to be okay with taking critiques too. You know, and again, this stuff comes from, if she wants to end up winning that Olympia again, she's got to make some changes. If she wants to win the Olympia again, she's got to make some changes. Has to, right? I did. It was great. Thank you. I think the no point system for bikini, it's making things super interesting this year. Still some pros that have not gotten on stage yet. What do you think bikini is so wide open? Because we don't have a dominant winner. We haven't had anybody repeat as a Olympia winner since Angelica. Nobody's repeated. It's wide open. And freaking Maureen, who won the Olympia, just got beat by Laura Lee at the Arnold. It is wide open for anybody. right? Well, sure, Spotify is a little hard to hear with the crowd screaming in the background. Unfortunately, I can't do anything about the crowd noise. It's what it is. So you said, soft waist needs a break from waist trainers. I'm not going to go into any science on waist trainers, guys. Everybody's a unique case. But what happens with waist trainers is they atrophy your waist. They atrophy your muscle. So if you're looking washed out through the waistline, that's because your muscle is atrophied. So I believe Romina does wear a waist trainer, and it makes sense that that would atrophy your muscle. Just saying. Due to the judges constantly trying to change the standard, keeping it attainable. No, judges aren't changing anything. It's just people are coming in different. People are coming in and they're judging to the criteria. They're not judging based on a person. They're judging on criteria, which is what they should be doing. They should be judging based on a criteria. I guess 15 years. Yeah, that's the thing. It's like there's a difference between having a small waist and having muscle tone in your waist. There's a difference, right? As a bikini competitor, you want both. You want to have a small waistline, but you also need to have some definition there too. And I say this from experience because I wore a waist trainer and I got feedback that my abs were washed out. So just coming from personal experience. So I stopped wearing a waist trainer and guess what? I don't have that problem anymore. My waistline stayed small and it's no longer washed out. Yeah, Romina has amazing presence. All of the girls, specifically in the top 6 and top 10, everything too. They all looked great as far as presentation is concerned. But Romina has a phenomenal posing and presence. All the top six girls did. All of them did. They really did. This is what I'm saying. Like, this is not easy. Being like the top 6 at this show, it's not easy being that way. So you got to be okay with taking critiques so that you can get better, because these girls it's not easy to beat these girls anymore. It's not easy. You can't just walk into a show anymore. You got to be on 100% every time. Wore a waist trainer and a belt to lift only to reduce the size of my obliques from years of gymnastics. Once I reduced them, I quit wearing it. Yep, same. That's why I wore one too, because I had pretty thick obliques, so I wore a waist trainer for that. And then at some point along the way, I lost all that muscle, and I actually got feedback from Sandy. Sandy told me, she said, you need to be, she's like, we don't need to see a 6-pack. She goes, but we need to see some definition. So, yeah, it definitely can go too far. And again, I don't know if that's what Romina's issue is. Again, it could be something that's happening with her peak, as far as how she loads her carbs, things like that. But those are some options. Those are some things that could be happening. What else, guys? What else? There's a lot of questions coming in, guys. Sorry. I don't think it's period bloat on Romina because she has that all the time. So unless she's on her period all the time, I don't think it's period bloat. So momentum is always good regardless. Always good. You got to get in front of these judges. You got to get feedback. There's a reason why you go to every show and you try to win every show and you try to gain momentum, because then they remember you. Not only do they remember you, then they give you feedback on what to do better. You apply that feedback and you come back better. That's what momentum is. It's not about bias. It's about getting better every time you step on stage. You always mention that the standard is always the winners from the O, where these competitors won. Yeah. Yeah. Giselle was 5th at the Olympia. 5th, 6th. 5th or 6th. Amy was 6th. So yeah, they're absolutely comparable. 100%. Yep. Amy was like shimmy when she poses. That's her presence. Nothing wrong with it. Nothing wrong with it. None of the girls in the top 6 had issues with their posing. Not one of them. They all had great posing. Every one of them. Every one of them. And their posing was all different. It was all unique. And that's fine. That's one of the beautiful things about it. And they all pulled it off really, really well. Sure did. I mean, if you want to see what bikini presence should look like, look at the top 6 of this show. Right? Except, the critiques that I gave as far as Ashley's confidence just wasn't on. Maybe she psyched herself out or something. Who knows? She talks about that sometimes. I didn't listen to anything if she put out any of her feedback or anything like that, but she'll talk about it if she felt like her confidence was off for whatever reason or anything like that. I don't know if anybody saw anything like that, but to me, it looked like she just psyched herself out for this show or something. That's what it looked like. It just looked shaky. It looked shaky to me. So. Oh, also, I know she has an issue with her eyes too. So maybe that eye issue is giving her problems. That's something else too. Maybe that eye issue is giving her problems with her balance. That could be something. I don't know. If anybody's heard anything, if she said anything, feel free to type it in. But that could be the problem. I know she had surgery on it a few years ago, and I know she mentioned something about it being becoming a problem for her again. So it could be something having to do with her eye. Yeah, she'll probably talk about it. Yeah. True. I'm going to say it. Yep. Yeah, I heard she has to get the surgery again. I did hear that. Oh, you posted about it 3 hours ago? Okay. Yeah, so that could very well be why. Yeah, it could very well be her eye that's throwing her off. Maybe maybe she'll go get the surgery and that'll give her a good break. You know what I mean? And she can come back better. So. Titles Ashley versus Amy. Okay, got it. Yeah, and I think I'm going to try to get on live again tomorrow night so we can talk about New York, preview New York. Because, again, Amy's doing that show too. I'm going to do my best to get on. Like I said, I'm here at my parents' house, so my weeks are a little bit off with it, but I'll be there live to be able to cover it as well. So, but yeah, it should be a fun show. All right, guys. Well, that was a lot of good questions, you guys. So when this goes back up, after we're done recording here, please go back in and like and comment again. If you have more questions that I didn't get to, feel free to type those into the comments. I'll come back and respond as well. We already recap. No, I'm not doing the muscle contest show. Savannah did win it. I didn't pay attention to it. I'm going to be honest with you. I didn't pay attention to it. And I'm here at my parents' house and I kind of want to spend time with them. So I didn't go back and research it either. So that's the only reason why I'm not covering it. Pittsburgh was the marquee show. That's why I'm covering it. I got to have time to spend with my family. I haven't been back here to see my parents and stuff since 2020. So that takes precedence over a show in California. Sorry, guys. Sorry. It's what it is. I'm going to spend my time here how it should be, I think. Just a little bit. Yeah. So hopefully, if I can't, I will likely be able to get on tomorrow night. I'm going to New York on Thursday. So if I don't get on tonight, I should be able to get on Thursday. I couldn't get on Thursday last week because I was checking with my coach at the time. So this week I won't have that. So I should be able to do it Thursday. If I can't get on tomorrow, I should be able to get on Thursday. So. Yep. Family is vital. Yep. Makes complete sense. Enjoy your family. Yeah, I know. I don't need a reason, but I have a reason. I have a reason. So, all right, guys. So with that, they're right above me right now. So I'm gonna let you guys go. I'm gonna go smoke a cigar with my dad. He might still be on this live. I don't know. He was on at the beginning. He doesn't stick around for the whole thing. But I'm gonna go do that. And yeah, it was great. It was a great live. I like these big shows like this. And I think also with me covering it in person, I think that's helpful. I wish I could be at more shows, guys. I go to as many as I can. So I am looking forward to New York. I really appreciate you guys getting on here. This is probably one of the most amount of people. Oh, my dad, my dad's still on. So this is probably one of the most packed lives we've had so far, which is cool. I like getting these numbers up. And the more we get the numbers up, the more it helps the female divisions too, guys. You know, so be on here. Get those questions in. I have no problem answering questions. Cigars are waiting. There we go. I have no problem answering questions. I have no problem explaining things. You know, I understand that a lot of times the sport doesn't make sense. I'll make it make sense for you. I'll make it make sense. And, you know, I get it too. I have some outspoken opinions. I do. I get it, but I'm going to say it because I think it's important for the sport as a whole. I think it's important for the women as a whole. And whenever I do these things, like I've said before, my whole goal is so that every person that I talk about gets better the next time they get on stage, right? I don't have a horse in this fight. I don't have a dog in this race. All I have is I want to see the female divisions do better. Right? So that's my goal here with you guys. That's what I want you guys to take away from this, right? Your dad, I know, right? So with that, guys, if you notice up here in the corner, that's our Spotify channel right here. The QR code right here will take you to our Spotify channel. So if you're not already following us on there, go over there and check it out. There is recordings from this past weekend at Pittsburgh, and there will be recordings at New York as well. So make sure that you're paying attention to that. I don't cover figure. I used to, but nobody listens to it. That's a whole other topic in and of itself. We could be here for hours talking about that. That's why our lives are growing. That's right. Exactly. So, and like I said, I don't have a problem with explaining hard questions. I don't have a problem with talking about hard questions, right? Somebody's got to do it. I'll be the voice. It's okay. I'll be the voice. Because I'll tell you what, I go to shows and people come up to me and they talk to me at shows and they tell me that they agree with me. So even if y'all aren't here on this live commenting, I know you're watching anyway. So, hey, somebody's got to be a voice of reason. Somebody's got to be a voice, the sound voice, right? It is what it is. So I don't have a problem with that. I've never had a problem with being the voice. I've never had a problem with being the one that stands up, right? So with that said, I hope you guys have had a great week so far. Again, I'm going to try and get on live tomorrow night for you guys too. If not, it'll definitely be Thursday. So we'll definitely do one more live this week, and then we'll be live at New York. So appreciate y'all. Thursday, if you need a suit, we are doing our free suit webinar. So get on that with me. That's at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It is free. And then we help you design your suit, your best possible winning suit. Okay. And that's suitsandposing.com. And other than that, if you're going to be in New York, I'll see you there too. So I'm going to log off Instagram first and then off of YouTube.